What's up, guys? It's the Skipper. In today's video, I'm breaking down the 5 easiest steps for herd management. This is the simplest guide that you can use that covers everything dealing with herd management. And we're out here on Awaroa, where I spent about a week managing my fallow deer, making sure that they're perfect to give you an exact example. But as we start off, we're going to start with tip 1. Do your research. Some maps are better for certain animals. For instance, whitetail is best to hunt on Revontuli. Black bear, it's best to hunt on Silveridge Peaks. Fallow is best to hunt on Awaroa, and pheasants are best to hunt at Salzwiesen Park. Some maps just are better. They're better groups, there's better clearing, a better line of sight, smaller lakes. It's really your decision, but some maps just are better. So I would suggest doing thorough research on what animals are best to hunt where. And then we move on to step 2, discovering all your water zones. Checking every lake, river, coastline at the animal's specific drink time. And not just check once and done. You want to check multiple times throughout their drink time. Some animals just straggle into the zones later. And it's usually the higher class animals that do that. And each animal, going back to your research, like Awaroa, you want to check this lake, the coastline from here all the way down around all these peninsulas to right here. Then you want to check lake and this lake, and from the river at this tip all the way down to here, the bay. And that's why Awaroa is one of the better options for hunting fallow, because they have roughly about 45 to 50 zones. Each map is different, but it's the least amount of zones with the best size herds. You can find drink zone indicators by spotting them or claiming their drink zone indicator. And as you claim their drink zone indicators, you don't always have to go during their drink time. You have roughly about 2 hours in game to run the same path and claim their indicators. That way you can maximize your time efficiently. You can just drive the ATV around. Instead of spooking them, they won't be there. And a good way to find out if you have all your drink zones, you want to go to one of the zones that you dedicate as a main zone that you have tended up. And you want to find one of the animals and take it down. So after you've taken it down, you want to claim it, go back to where you shot it from, go back out to the main menu, and load back in. When you load back in, if you respawn and all your animals are back here, other than the one you shot, you have found all your drink zones. All right, step 3, determining your main zones and your secondary zones, and knowing what's a solo group and what's a herd. So this zone has a bunch of females and more than 2 males. So this one would be a main zone. It has a clear line of sight, easy to get to. So it's a main zone because it's the easiest zone to hunt. A secondary zone would be like this zone, where there normally is a male in here, but he's inconsistent at reloading in. This herd has 6 females and 1 male. When you herd manage, you want your main zones to have multiple bucks or males, so you can take down 2 and get as many respawns as fast as possible. And that's why this zone would be a secondary zone. See this right here? There's 4 males. This is not a herd. This is just a group of males that share the same drink zone. And these zones, you want to keep note of and make sure you check continuously through your herd management, because if it's a group of males, it means it's a hot spot for solos to respawn at. And this right here would be a less desirable zone, because even though there is a male with a group of females, there's only 1 male, and limits you to only taking 1 down each rotation. You could use it if you're more comfortable shooting 1 male, but the goal of herd management is to take down 2 deer per zone each rotation, so you can maximize your respawns. As you're discovering your drink zones, I would highly suggest you do not shoot any solos, because if you shoot a solo, you have to re-find that zone. They will disappear from that location, and it makes your herd management a lot harder. Moving on to step 4, you want to stack your zones. There's 2 different types of stacking. There's stacking lower levels and there's stacking higher levels. And the main goal is, in your secondary zones, is to stack your lower levels. In your main zones, you want to stack higher levels. This is a good example of stacking lower levels. I have a level 3 that its trophy rating is 99 to 140. And then I have a level 2 that's trophy rating 69 to 111. My threshold for considering what a fallow is as a lower level is about 150, plus or minus 10. I want to get as many less than 150 trophy rating animals in my secondary zones as possible. And this is where you have to practice patience. I have 3 level 5 medium guaranteed diamonds in the zone and 1 level 4 diamond potential. This is stacking your main zones. This is one of my favorite zones because as the fallow congregate right here, when I take a shot, they flee outwards here and then they escape this way, which then they double back, giving me 3 possible times to shoot at them. And I say practice patience because it is tempting to shoot these. These fallow have been on the map for a week now, and they're pretty big diamonds. That's probably one of the biggest diamonds I would have right there. And I have over 100 fallow diamonds. So let those diamonds sit. I know you want to stack your lodge, but doing herd management, you are going to stack your lodge. You're going to get plenty of diamonds. You can get lots of rare, potentially a super rare, and for certain species, you're working your goal to get a great one. And as you're stacking, I would suggest animals that go to class 3, you want to keep and don't shoot level 1s and low level 2s. For animals that go to class 5, you don't want to shoot any animals that go from level 1 to low level 3. And for animals that go to class 9, you want to not shoot any animal that go from 1 to low level 5. You want to keep those on your map so you can increase your chance of spawning higher level animals on a consistent basis. Your game wants to create a balance. And if you have roughly 75% of your animals at lower level, the remaining 25 are going to respawn continuously at higher levels. Now, if you're having issues to shoot animals down in your secondary zones, what you can do is if you find an animal in your main zone that is lower level, like this level 3, you want to back out of the game, get a fresh restart, and then load back in. You want to shoot that level 3 and go to the secondary zone that has a higher level animal. And after you shoot the other animal, you want to go back out to the main menu and load back in. And if you hunt a different species during that time frame, you let the respawn work and you have a chance of swapping those ratings. That way you can reload a higher level into your main zone and the lower level will go into your secondary zone. It's roughly about 50-50, but that's the best way you can do that. And on step 5, you want to reap your rewards. After all your secondary zones are shot down and your main zones are stacked, this is where you can take those higher level animals and take them down. And this is the most fun in this process because that's when you're going to start stacking your lodge and enjoying that hard work you put into it. And when your secondary zones are shot down, you can take your secondary tent and move it to your main zone as a pickup tent. This way, it's more efficient for you to collect those animals and continue shooting as much as possible. And some bonus things. If your main zones seem inconsistent with the size level animals you're respawning, if you're respawning a lot of lower level animals in your main zones, what you want to do is recheck all your water zones because that most likely means that you have a high level straggler that's messing up the balance you're creating. And it could be a solo or just a random one that respawned in a herd that you didn't know of. And lastly, if you're hunting for a great one, and I wish I knew this when I first started playing and herd management and doing a great one grind, if your map starts acting funny, where a lot of your zones are just not respawning your animals, it's not that you didn't find all your water zones, especially if you're full swing into your herd management and stacking, it's because you most likely have a great one on your map. So get excited and check all your zones because you're about to get one of the top prizes in this game. All right, guys, I hope this guide helped. And if you're new to the channel and you stuck around, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'll happily answer anything you guys got. All right, Skipper out. Peace.